it was fun, you know. We knew the whole building is going to be loud and everything. You know, he's probably one of the best prospects to enter the NBA, so it was fun, you know. For me personally, I like challenges, so that was a fun challenge.
Of course, I'm going to think about this game because it's the only game I've ever played. So, but you know, it's a long season. We got other things to take care of.
One of the toughest things for a player is to get into foul trouble and you never get in a rhythm and you're in and out of the game and that sort of thing. So I thought his maturity showed even at a young age where he came in with the last, I think, 7 minutes and just played. We ran some stuff for him. He executed where a lot of guys would have been totally out of it by then because they were in foul trouble and didn't get their rhythm. So I thought he had a wonderful outing.
So Wemby was in a little bit of foul trouble. That was for the first 3 quarters. But then he flipped the switch in the fourth. He scored 9 of his final 15 points in that last frame. That's thanks in part to his aggression, getting a little bit closer to the rim in the fourth quarter. I think that even Victor would say, right, it was a little bit of an up and down night for him. But what stood out to you from his debut, Perk?
The number one. That's how many national televised games the Spurs had last season. I already know, look, Victor Wembanyama, he's that dude before he even play his next game. But they got 20 national televised games. I was watching the Spurs play last night because I wanted to see Victor Wembanyama. More Victor Wembanyama. And you know what happens when you're in the locker room and the Spurs only had 1 national televised game? See, other guys want to be seen, right, and put the world on notice. And that's okay, but they have to realize that we're here to watch one person and one person only, and that's the guy that is going to be the future face of the NBA.
Sure.
Now, I have no complaints about what he did because he was in foul trouble, his growing pains, a lot of things going through his mind. But at the end of the day, it was sometimes he was standing around too much, and he needs to demand the ball more, and Pop needs to get him the ball more.
He is going to lead the league in forced uh-ohs when the jump shooter rises up. Oh, no, I can't. You don't see a guy like Kyrie Irving in that clip raise up for a jumper and a guy who's right in your line of sight just walk over the guy who's not guarding you and be like, you know what, I'm just going to take that right out of the air. And you saw other jump shooters late in the game. Perk called it. Defensive player of the year. You might be right, big fella. If the Spurs win enough games, he's going to have a shot.
I'm here for this.
I can't even kick my leg.
You can. Let's just keep him down there. You don't want to pull a muscle.
This is a little.
What is this? Yeah, you don't want to pull a muscle, big bro. The Spurs offense is going to be a work in progress, but their defense through Victor Wembanyama has real potential, at least individually, and the numbers are staggering. When Victor was on the floor, 35% of the Mavs shots came in the paint. When he was off of the floor, 50% of the Mavs shot came in the paint. Mind you, he only played 23 minutes. So he has an effect. The distance, you talked about it on First Take, Malika. 3 feet difference, people are shooting further back based on Victor. So defensive player of the year, I thought at first, I was like, that's interesting. Low in history for a rookie, but very possible for this guy.
Yeah, it doesn't happen, but this is
all the flowers up.
Yes,
it's too early for you to get
about
flowers.
Kendrick Perkins. And Kendrick, you are a winner. We talk about winners on this show. I don't want to have even been a little bit better here. We have all been waiting to see what Zion will look like. Oh, by the way, that's Jaren Jackson Jr., the reigning defensive player of the year in the middle there. Zion says, that's okay. I don't care. Get out my way.
And then off the split of the pick and roll. And then right here, look, just off the vert, catching lives, but the passion. Look at his teammates. Yeah, Zion, that's what he need, Malika.
These are the same teammates that called him and said, we need a little bit more. And he said, okay, copy, I've got you, Zach.
I mean, that's a face-up drive from a tank. I mean, that's ridiculous. And no one catches lob. The spin for the lob is Zion's thing. No one has ever done it with that level of explosion.
Finishes over Xavier Tillman there. The Pelicans get the win over the shorthanded Memphis Grizzlies. Zion Williamson, he scored the final 12 points for the Pelicans against the Grizzlies. That was tied for the 3rd most consecutive points to end a game in franchise history. And the name at the top of that list, Zion Williamson himself, with 14 straight in 2022. So, Perk, you have said that Zion was the #1 player.
Look at his face.
The most to prove this season. And now you are mean mugging me. Are you ready to believe in him again?
Hell no. Hell no. And I'm not about to go off of one game last night going against the Memphis Grizzlies with a depleted roster. Now, look, it's great to see him out there, but correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the Pelicans last season? Wasn't they one of the best teams in the Western Conference?
Yes, sir.
Wasn't Zion Williamson doing MVP type things?
Yes.
And then what happened? So it's never a knock on what Zion could do and how dominant he could be. is if he could sustain this, if he could keep it going, if he could be consistent. Now, talk to me game 60 of the season, then I might change my mind.
Well, Chene, it wasn't just 60. It's you want to see assists for 65.
Yes. For me, for Zion, the threshold is playing 65 games. That's the new rule that the NBA instituted in case you missed it in the offseason. That allows you to be award eligible. So you're no longer just going to be an all-star. You have to be award eligible, play 65 games, then we'll be hyped.
Let's just put that in perspective. 65 games, you want 65 games in one season.
From Zion.
Okay, that's great. We all want that. He's played 114 in 4 seasons. So, look, the Pelicans, when they're healthy, have as good a shot at anyone other than Denver and Phoenix at getting a top 4 seed in the West. Not necessarily making a finals run. Like, I think the Lakers and the Warriors have more chance to do that. But top 4 home court advantage, that's in play for them. But look, one game, like the NBA season is about durability and being on the court. And, like, 65 games would be more than half of the total he's played in his entire career.
Yeah, so it's exciting beginning, but we need to see it just a little bit more. But that's what we do, Zach. We speak in hyperboles on television. Still to come on NBA.
You didn't yell at Perk about that.
I yelled at Perk the rest. 76ers and Bucks are the only 2 teams who have yet to see regular season action. That changes at 7:30 Eastern tonight when the 2 Eastern Conference contenders square off in Milwaukee. We saw Dame and Giannis together right in the preseason. But that big question, when are we going to see James Harden team back up with Joel Embiid? That one still remains. It's a good thing that here with us now is our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. And usually, Woj, we've been starting with sort of the Sixers side of this conversation, and I want to get to that. But all of the actions from James Harden have been leading up to he would like to be traded. And the Clippers have been sort of that one team that was lurking around. Where do those talks stand now?
The Clippers have essentially now paused these talks with the Sixers on James Harden with the season starting. They've been in, very regular contact with the Sixers, over months and then in recent weeks, trying a lot of different combinations to see if there's anything to do for a James Harden trade. Philly has rejected them all. And essentially now what the Clippers are saying, listen, they may revisit this again,
right,
and I'm sure they probably will at some point. But they're done talking for now with the season starting. I think certainly, they don't want Terrence Mann to have to keep seeing his name out there. They have rejected, every Philly overture to include Mann in any deal. But essentially, I think they tried. Philly has not wanted to do the deals they wanted to do. And the Clippers look around and they say, we're the only bidder for James Harden. We're the only team offering anything. They don't want to bid against themselves. And, I think they get the sense Philly's not ready to do the deal, certainly not ready to do it on the Clippers' terms. And so they're going to exit this for now. Again, they may pick this up again later, I think, but the idea that the Clippers and Philly will be going back and forth again, at least early in the season, probably not in the foreseeable future.
Okay, so for now, the pause button has been hit by the Clippers. Harden is not, though, with the team in Milwaukee. What are the Sixers hoping to achieve here with him not being on this road trip?
The Sixers want to see how serious James Harden is about playing for this team, about ramping up now. He's been away from the team, hadn't practiced since October 15th before he was on the court with them yesterday. He's not been around enough to know the plays. Now, he's an extremely smart player. He'll pick them up as he starts playing 5-on-5 and he's with this group. They wanted him to stay back in Philly at their practice facility so he can work with their development guys, the training staff, have access to all the rehab equipment you have in the building. This is a 34-year-old player, history of hamstring injuries. You're not trying to go 0 to 60 here and have an injury, but they want him to start getting closer to playing and see if he follows down this path. And again, to see how serious he is about starting this season. They want him on the court. They've always wanted him on the court. They don't really want to trade him. But I think if they go through this process and there's some kind of a sidetrack, if there's some kind of a situation where, Harden doesn't play, then they kind of know where they are, which is maybe he's not as serious about being a part of this. But they've got to find out, and here's their window now to find out about Harden.
I don't want to oversimplify this, but it sounds a little bit, Zach, like a game of chicken. Like, is he serious? Does he actually want to be here? Does he actually want to do this? And if so, I'm mixing metaphors, calling bluffs, playing chicken, but it feels like all of those metaphors put together.
It's like a 3-pronged game of chicken. You have the Sixers and Harden who have just sort of delayed any finality here. You could be away from the team. We're not finding you. They're in this netherworld of like, what is he? Is he on the team? Is he not on the team? The games are starting. How long can they put that off until one of them has to make a move? And then over here are the Clippers, who are like, how are we supposed to negotiate in a situation like this? We don't know what is going to happen with your team. We don't know what's going to happen with our team. Maybe we're so good that we conclude we don't need to trade future assets to James Harden. Or maybe Kawhi gets hurt and we're not good enough to justify trading assets for James Harden. Let's wait and see.
And that's exactly it, Zach. The Clippers want to see what they look like with a healthy Kawhi Leonard, a healthy Paul George to start the season, and see if this group around them, how good can this team be? And we know it is built around the health and availability of those two players.
You know what I want to see? The energy of the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. I want to see if we're going to see chest bumping. I want to see if we're going to see high-fiving. I want to see from the 13th or 14th man on the roster, is he going to be up clapping the whole game? Like, that's the energy I want to see, if they're going to have it or not. And that's going to determine whether or not this situation is affecting the locker room. Number two, can Tyrese Maxey take that leap to help Joel Embiid? We know he could get a bucket. We know this. Can he take that leap to help Joel Embiid get easy baskets? He is going against Giannis, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, Robin Lopez. That's a lot of bodies.
Right.
He's going to need those easy looks at the elbows and at the rim.
Yeah, the Clippers are not the only team making an assessment. I think the Sixers are now making an assessment. And you're absolutely right, Perk, because Tyrese Maxey, I mean, this is the first time today, okay? Tyrese Maxey is the odds-on favorite to win Most Improved. And he already averaged, 19-20 last year? In 24 games that James Harden missed last season, he averaged 25 and 5. And so I think this is an assessment not just of what the Clippers are, but it's also addition potentially by subtraction.
Tyrese Maxey is right now the most interesting player in the league who's actually playing basketball, because if you look at the numbers, look at those numbers. With Harden on the floor, 16 pick and rolls per 100 possessions. That's like average wing player. 58 when James Harden was on the bench last year. I have never seen a discrepancy like that based on the presence or absence of a teammate. We know he can score, but Joel Embiid won the MVP behind those little 12 and 13-foot jumpers that Harden set him up for. Does Tyrese Maxey have that in his game? If he does, and the Sixers exceed expectations, that's another plot twist in this whole soap opera that apparently will just never end.
And Tyrese Maxey spent the last few months watching the players in his draft class get their rookie contract extensions, including several players who got max extensions, and the expectation was Maxey would get a max extension in this. But the Sixers kicked it to next year. It allows them to perhaps have more salary cap space before they max out Maxey. But certainly he's on pace to be a player who gets a deal like Tyrese Halliburton got, LaMelo Ball got. And so, certainly that's part, I think, of his thinking this year, too. I don't know that he has to prove more to get that extension, but he is going a year without getting that deal, and that's very different. The last player we really could think about, organization who did that to be able to create cap space, the Spurs did that with Kawhi Leonard's extension.
Right. And
Hey, what's up, guys? Jag from Jaggy Sports here. About that time, NBA is full in effect right now. Let's talk about a couple teams. Obviously, you got the 76ers taking on the Bucks tonight. Could the 76ers ruin the opening night for the newly formed Milwaukee Bucks? The one that everybody is saying they're the team to beat in the East. I think Boston has something to say about that. So then you have the Lakers taking on the Phoenix Suns. Can Anthony Davis actually redeem himself and play a full game tonight? We're going to see. We're going to find out. I think Bradley Beal is playing. Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson looks like a threat right now. Hopefully he doesn't get injured. Can the Pelicans do some damage? I think they can. They always can. They're very underrated. But when healthy, they are fully like one of the best teams, right? Just, I remember when they were like legit in the first place in the Western Conference. So, you know, a lot of stuff is happening, but you have James Harden obviously not traveling with the team. He's practicing, so that's not nothing new that we don't know of. But something that we do know, the Chicago Bulls. Now, Chicago Bulls were arguing, yelling, confronting each other after losing to the Thunder by something like 20-something or close to 20 points. Now, Chicago Bulls are having a players only meeting after the first game. It's pretty unbelievable what's happening in Chicago right now, because, you know, I'd expect this after the 10th game or whatever, but after the first game, that's saying quite a bit, because if you're into the NBA, you remember last year or the previously year, I'm not 100% sure, they did the exact same thing. And what happened was Billy Donovan, the head coach of the Chicago Bulls, basically said, you guys deal with it. You guys figure it out, because that's how you build chemistry. And I get it, right? Like, you know, if you're gonna argue, if you're man enough to argue, you're man enough to resolve it, kind of thing. So my point is, you're doing this after the first game. And this is not the first time that's happened. This is about, like, I'm hearing that it's a couple times already now. So now you have Lonzo Ball out, and you don't have a legit point guard, but you have Zach LaVine, you have Alex Caruso, and you have DeMar DeRozan, and you have Vucevic. So at the end of the day, you have a lot of players, a lot of pieces to get the job done, but it's not working. So at what point do you guys think that the Chicago Bulls should actually do something, right? Because it's pretty insane what's happening right now, because after the first game, you're already having these kind of discussions. And I could already pinpoint where it's coming from, because they don't have a legit point guard. They don't have a person to tell them, you go here, you go there, and you don't have a veteran leadership. At least you had Patrick Beverley last season. Now he's with the 76ers. So, you know, you don't have that vet leadership, and you don't have guys telling you where to go. Zach LaVine is not a true point guard. DeMar DeRozan is not a true point guard. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, they need a legit point guard. And I remember when they had Lonzo Ball healthy, they were a really, really damn good team. But, you know, unfortunately, what happened to Lonzo Ball, I don't know if he's going to come back this season. They're saying that he's not, but he's saying that he is, so I'm not 100% sure what's happening there. But I want to ask you guys a question. At what point do the Chicago Bulls actually pull the plug and trade one of their players? Because after the first game, a players only meeting, and you're yelling, I get it. You're passionate. You want to win. You think you should win. But after the first game, I've never seen that before. So, you know, leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you guys think. And always, anyone that wants to debate, come on the video or audio, whatever you guys want, just let me know. I'll make it happen. Again, this is a community, and we all get to share perspectives and opinions. So, again, what should the Chicago Bulls do moving forward in this early in the season, after game one, a conflict? Players yelling at each other. You have a players only meeting now. What should the Chicago Bulls do? Leave a comment in the comment section. As always, Jag from Jaggy Sports.